All right, welcome back. Seems like there is an odd man out in the welterweight division, and that man's name is Keith Once Upon a Time Thurman. Actually, Keith One Time Thurman. I'll respect him because I think the dude does have the talent and the ability to come back and, do some things in the welterweight division. He says that he can beat Danny Garcia, predictable Danny Garcia. He wants his rematch with Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence Jr., however, gives him the gas face. Let's talk about Keith Thurman and his chickens coming home to roost in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Let's time travel for a second and go back to when Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao were fighting for the for whatever they were fighting for, and whatever weight class, whatever belts that they were fighting for. It might have been the WBA, the WBC, whatever it was, for back in 2015. I think that was 2015 that they fought. Go back 5 years to 2015, and when Floyd Mayweather Jr. was king of the world, Manny Pacquiao was trying to get him. They're big old packed hard, flow-mos, all that stuff was flying around. There was a young man that I was a big fan of, similar to how I'm a big fan of Jaron Ennis, how I'm a big fan of Virgil Ortiz. There was a young guy coming up the ranks that wanted to get his hands on Floyd Mayweather Jr., wanted to get his hands on Manny Pacquiao. He was knocking everybody out, doing his thing, out of Florida, long ponytail with braids. Keith One Time Thurman even had a little pretty black girl sitting next to him in the seat. Back when Keith Thurman was real. That was the guy I was rooting for. Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao have their fight. Floyd Mayweather Jr. retires. Manny Pacquiao, is on the outs with Top Rank, so he's not getting pushed as hard as he was. And Keith Thurman floats to the top of the welterweight division. He got to the welterweight division. I don't believe that he got to the top of the welterweight division the way that he wanted to get to the top of welterweight division, which was a big money fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. or a big money fight with Manny Pacquiao. It was more that he got up there he got to the top, but he did beat some very, very solid fighters to do that, right? He beat Robert the Ghost Guerrero. He beat Keith Thurman. He beat Sean Porter. Did I get that right? He beat Danny Garcia. He beat Sean Porter. I didn't want to give him anybody that didn't actually beat. But King, top of the 147-pound division. However, he didn't become the money man that he wanted to become, similar to, maybe a Larry Holmes in the late 1970s, early 1980s, when he became obviously the best heavyweight in the world, but yet, he really didn't have the admiration and the love that the people had given to Muhammad Ali before him, or the buzz and he wasn't given the respect, the fear, the money that Mike Tyson got after he left. He was just kind of great fighter. Many people say he's one of the top 5 heavyweights of all time. I've definitely got him in my top 10 heavyweights of all time. I might have him higher if I was a little bit more familiar with guys like Sam Langford and Harry Wills that had fought in the early 20th century. But you get my point. Of modern times, definitely one of the great heavyweights, but just didn't get the acclaim and things, and wind up eventually getting knocked off, being food for Mike Tyson later in his career, right? Keith Thurman is that same kind of guy. Fell in right after 2 very popular, iconic welterweights, and then he became the man. When he became the man, though, there was another group of people that came up behind him. Specifically, Errol Spence Jr. is the guy that I'll name that was spotlighting him because he was the man. And what did Keith Thurman do? Keith Thurman turned Hollywood on folk. Keith Thurman didn't want to fight Errol Spence Jr. Young man, keep fighting, keep doing your thing. Maybe one day, blah, 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 blah. Ducked the tar out of that dude, man. Then went on some injury-laden sabbatical for 2 years in which he had to relinquish his WBC. He had to relinquish his WBC belt. Now, he did have some very good wins with Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. Close fight with Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. Very good fight. Two very, significant fighters, top-level welterweight. So, not saying the dude can't fight or he didn't represent his, but the buzz around him, wah, wah, wah. And then he flatlined with that 2-year layoff. But he comes back and he gets what he wants. He gets 2 big fights. He gets the Josecito Lopez to warm him up. Looked funny against Josecito Lopez. Then he came back, fought Manny Pacquiao, got his big money fight, but got beat by Manny Pacquiao by a guy. And I don't think he looked bad in it because I think he put up a good fight against Manny Pacquiao. But Manny Pacquiao's 42 years old, man. Manny Pacquiao's 42 years old, had lost to Jeff Horn, had been knocked out by Juan Manuel Marquez, and Keith Thurman winds up revitalizing the reputation of Manny Pacquiao because he lost to a 40-year-old man. Maybe he's not 42, a 40-year-old man. Now, I think there's reasons for it. I think the fight was closer than a lot of people think it was, and I think that very, very big layoff, right, affected him. And then maybe with multiple training camps and getting his body together or whatever, that he might return to a higher form. But as of right now, he's in a situation where nobody has to fight him. Now, he says that he wants to get a fight with Danny Predictable Garcia. He wants to get the fight. He'd be open to a rematch, the Sean Porter rematch. He wants, I don't think he said he's interested at all in Terence Crawford. He says he wants to dominate the division. Errol Spence Jr. straight up giving him the gas face. Like, look, man, I chased you around forever trying to get a fight with you. You refused to fight me. I'm not, I don't care about you, dude. I got other things to do. I've got Terence Crawford and I've got Manny Pacquiao to fight, man. And those are all the belts. Manny Pacquiao, Errol Spence, and Sean Porter and Terence Crawford are all the belts. So there's nothing for Keith Thurman if Keith Thurman can't get the rematch with Manny Pacquiao. And I don't think, from my understanding, Manny Pacquiao's like, man, he went right to the hospital after fighting Keith Thurman and was like, that fight was a much more difficult fight than people say it was, or that it might have looked from the outside looking in. It might have looked a lot easier than it actually was. Now, for me, and I keep saying this, in my opinion, it didn't look easy for Manny Pacquiao. It looked like Manny Pacquiao was taking flush right hands from Keith Thurman. But he saw him coming. He braced himself. He had a chin and he outworked him. He hurt that body and won the fight. But so Manny Pacquiao's not going to be in any hurry to fight Keith Thurman again. He's not going to fight Keith Thurman again. In fact, if Manny Pacquiao ain't careful, Manny Pacquiao might not be fighting anybody again. Screwing around out there doing I won't say screwing around there because he's doing humanitarian things. He's helping people in his country through this virus that we have. So there's laudable actions that he's taking place, but though they are commendable, they are also very, very risky. Add to that the fact that he's going to be out for a whole year. He's pushing 41, 42. He's going to get, if he's fighting for the money, he's going to get the big Errol Spence Jr. fight, or he's going to get that Mikey Garcia fight where DAZN, if there still is a DAZN, DAZN offers all that money. That leaves Keith Thurman like the odd man out for Manny Pacquiao, and Errol Spence Jr. don't want no parts of him. Keith Thurman says he doesn't want Terence Crawford, which is the one fight, quite honestly, that he might actually have the potential to get, seeing as Terence Crawford really doesn't have a lot of high quality fighters to fight. Keith Thurman for Terence Crawford would be a better fight than the Kell Brook fight. Though I will say this again, keep saying it, I'm very supportive of the Kell Brook Terence Crawford fight. I'm cool with that. That is a level of a fighter. That's a step up for Terence Crawford in the welterweight division. Kell Brook is not an easy out for anybody. I've never seen him be an easy out for anybody. I don't expect him to be an easy out for Terence Crawford. And so Terence Crawford, for a good part of that fight, is going to be fighting on an even playing field with Kell Brook, provided Kell Brook, getting back down to 147 doesn't just kill him. There's that chance of it. But anyway, Keith Thurman, who's still at 147, really doesn't seem like he has any issue making 147. That would be a great fight for Terence Crawford. But he ain't got no belts, and he's expensive, and he's got a big old ego, and he's gonna want to get that money, right? So Keith Thurman, them chickens coming home to roost. You even have Errol Spence Jr. talking about Keith Thurman like Keith Thurman's phony. He's like, man, I've been chasing this guy around. He's phony. He's talking out the side of his neck. He's saying one thing that ain't even really him. I know people that know and are familiar with Keith Thurman. I won't mention who they are. They're not cool with Keith Thurman anymore. But because Keith Thurman, at a point in time, Keith Thurman went Hollywood. Now Keith Thurman with this Hollywood, he's got this Hollywood attitude. He's got a Hollywood attitude, but he ain't starring in no movies. Nobody wants to cast him. Nobody wants him in their movie. So what's he going to do? He is going to have to go the hard route, man. If he wants to go that way, he's going to have to go the hard route, man. He's going to have to do an Adrian Bronner out there, man, and go get an Ugas. You know what I mean? Fight an Ugas. Fight one of these guys. Fight somebody that is, a tough fighter that he might have a chance to lose to rebuild his name, get excited, get some excitement behind him, so then maybe the boxing community will get behind him and try to force somebody to fight him. But I don't know if I see that happening, man. I think Keith is a good commentator. He's a very intelligent guy. He's a witty guy. And maybe that's where, that's maybe where he makes his move, man. Maybe he becomes the next Paulie Malignaggi, right? Actually, I think he calls fights better than Paulie Malignaggi. Keith Thurman knows boxing, man. Knows boxing very, very well, which is why he didn't want to fight Errol Spence Jr. But anyway, man, combination of Errol Spence Jr.'s gas face, Keith Thurman's position, vis-a-vis the guys with the belts is going to make it a bit of a road back for Keith Thurman. On the plus side from him, he's with the PBC, so he's going to get fights if he wants to fight. There's that Sean Porter fight out there for him. That's going to be a tough fight. Danny Garcia, I don't think the Danny Garcia fight is really out there for him because Danny Garcia is trying to get a belt. Nobody's really looking for Sean Porter, so that might be the more realistic matchup for him. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you to everybody that supports the channel on the Patreon. I have not been as busy on the Patreon as I should be. That's my apologies. This stuff that's going on with this quarantine and all that stuff has really jacked up my schedule. But we'll be back on it very soon. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the support in the live streams. And with that, we're out. Peace.